Glad to have you join us on this Friday edition of Daily Politics on Trust TV. I am Hamza Idris. On this program tonight, we present in-depth analysis of the evolving political events and review critical government policies for national development. And specifically on the show, we put on the scale the trending and controversial presidential list of 175 people granted clemency and pardon by the federal government. The list contains criminals convicted of capital offenses, including murder, kidnapping, drugs and arms smuggling, among others. And in the latest, the federal government said it has not completed the process for the clemency recently announced for Mariam Sanda and 81 others. Amid this controversy, Nigerians are asking critical questions. Will President Tinubu bow to pressure and amend the list? Who is eligible for a presidential clemency and what did the law say? Well, we seek to get answers to this and many more questions on this matter as the program unfolds. But first, here is an update on trending political developments in the country.
The Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, has presented some demands to the federal government. Its key demands included improved conditions of service, revitalization of public universities, and academic autonomy. It warned that sustainable investment in education remained the only path to ending strikes and raising the global ranking of Nigerian universities. The union made its position clear when it appeared before the State Committee on Tertiary Institutions and TET Fund at the National Assembly on Friday. Governor Alex Otti of Abia State has cautioned politicians against any plans to manipulate the outcome of the 2027 governorship election in the state. Speaking during his monthly media briefing at the government house in Umuahia, the governor urged political actors to allow the will of the people to prevail. The governor's comment were in response to recent remarks attributed to Benjamin Kalu, Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, who reportedly said that the All Progressives Congress APC would take over Abia State in 2027. The People's Democratic Party PDP in Bayelsa State has said despite the resignation of Governor Joe Diri, the party structures in the state remain solid and unified. Governor Diri, who chaired the PDP zoning committee that allocated the party's presidential ticket to the south, announced his exit from the PDP on Wednesday during an extended state executive council meeting at the government house in Yanagwa, ending weeks of speculation about his defection.
Some political updates there by Ibrahim Ismail. Now moving on to our conversation tonight, analyzing the controversial presidential clemency and pardon by the federal government vis-a-vis the position of the law on the matter. Let's welcome our guest, Barrister Hussaini Hussaini, a legal practitioner based in Abuja. Thank you very much, Barrister, for coming to the program.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
And viewers, we will open the telephone line later so that you can also contribute to the program. Now, throughout the week, the conversation was around the clemency and pardon granted by President Tinubu to 175 Nigerians. For me, on a personal note, it's been long when I saw, a topic that trended and that dragged, because Nigeria full of funny things, very important event, but after 24 hours it will be overtaken by another one. Why do you think this one drags up to the end of the week?
Okay, you see, the historical basis of maybe pardon is actually not mainly from our traditional as well as religious beliefs in Nigeria and of course in Africa. It owes its credence to colonialism through the English law. Muchly what was expected in some of the laws around customary and as well as our religious laws is about retribution and ensuring that the community takes vengeance or gets to hold any culprits accountable. So mainly when this happens, and of course the fact that the gravity of the offenses that have been pardoned, and of course the records of those convicts that have been pardoned might have been the reason why this thing has dragged. Also, in addition to maybe our historical background as a people and as a country, so maybe the main reason is the fact that a lot of the people in that list are people who have been seen as some kind of convicts that nobody will have envisaged clemency to them.
So early, in a way.
So early, most especially.
Okay, now you said this is traced to colonial era, and presidents have been given it. Even during the Second Republic, either the Third Republic, but it didn't elicit the kind of reaction that the one granted by President Tinubu did. In your estimation as a learned person, why is it so?
No, I don't think maybe we'll say the previous pardons have not actually garnered some criticisms. For example, the time that Buhari pardoned some ex-governors in 2023, there are a lot of reactions.
Of Plateau, yes, and Joli Nyame of Taraba.
Yes, there are a lot of reactions from writers, from academics. There are a lot of reactions around that.
Okay, except the numerical listing. This one 175. Yes. But that time, I don't think if there were more than 4 or 5. Yeah.
No, not really the numerical strength. About what maybe this is not. Maybe there are certain things that happened. If you are to challenge the pardon that was granted by Buhari, you look at it from the fight against corruption issue. We have 2 ex-governors, convicted of corruption, and then they are now pardoned. However, we have now a list that has a concern of pardon for drugs and narcotics related offenses, pardon for murder, pardon for kidnapping, and then for conviction against kidnapping, and then pardon for corruption again and dishonesty. So this has gathered so many other things. Not just about corruption, we have other concerns that are being raised about so many other crimes that are bedeviling in the country. So now we are not talking about only corruption, but we are talking about convicts on other charges that are also sources of concern in the country.
Yes, of course. We have on the list drug offenses, 70 inmates, constituting 40% of those pardoned. And then illegal mining, 60 inmates, constituting 34%. And then financial stroke white collar crimes, 30 inmates, constituting 17%. And then murder, 25 inmates, constituting 14%. Before we analyze them, of course, the 1999 Constitution, Section 175, empowers the President to grant a pardon, reprieve, or commute a sentence for offenses created by acts of the National Assembly. And then Section 212 gives the same power to state governors for offenses under state laws. I don't know. People have spoken on this. But why we didn't see the list of people who stole gold, people who actually maybe slapped someone and then awaiting trial, people maybe on marital issues, for one reason or the other, somebody slammed many years, or even awaiting trials, far and above the stipulated, sanction granted by our relevant laws against them.
Okay, there are 2 points to this, Maramza. You see, the first point is about these maybe offenses. We talk about the powers, which you just read the law, Section 175, talking about the powers of the president. So most of these offenses that have been, most of these convicts that have been pardoned are actually under federal law. So, and most of the offenses you mentioned, except for the FCT, they actually, most of them,
they are
mostly state laws. So things that has to do with all other things around that might be because the reason why that list does not contain those persons.
They are left for the governors.
They are mostly state laws, state convictions, or convictions under state laws. However, those same offenses are being punished in Abuja too. All those, maybe
stealing
and other things.
Yes. And all that, yes.
So the second issue is, maybe because of the fact that some of these offenses or offenders might have not gotten the attention of the president to do that. And also, the fundamental issue now is, for me, a drift, with all respect to the people that get this list ready, a drift out of the basis or the main goal of pardon.
Okay, what is the main goal of pardon?
The main goal, usually, I told you about how it started, not actually our own culture, from the other culture that it comes in, is actually for the crown to look at reasons why someone that has been convicted deserves to be pardoned. Like in the Roman, I think in the Roman law, ordinarily, their basis for pardon is that one has to get consent from the populace, from the common people. At least 6,000 people at that time must sign to get a pardon. Like the sovereign, the king, or whosoever the ruler will be, will have to have like the approval of the population, of the common people, to say 6,000 of us believe today that Mr. A has actually changed his life and Mr. A should be pardoned. And that is when pardon will be granted.
So it's not the prerogative of a few people headed by the Attorney General at the instance of the President to meet in a comfort zone to now maybe scrutinize applications.
That was under the Roman law.
Oh.
However, that basis is showing that people at that time work with this sensitivity of the community, and also to understand whether they are ad idem with the people around, and like every other person believes that that person actually, or at least the preponderance number of people believe that that person deserves the pardon. But over time now, you realize that not just by this government, previous pardons raised some moral questions, and that's the reason why we are having the recent report that is suggestive of the fact that that list has not been thoroughly looked at before it was granted. Now,
in the eye of law, what happened yesterday? Because the Attorney General, Latif Fagbemi, issued a statement that, look, the APRA, was needless because the processes of releasing these people, have not been completed. You are a lawyer, he too a lawyer. Are you on the same page with him on that?
Well, I'm a lawyer, but the learned AGF is not just a lawyer, but an SAN, of course, also the Attorney General of the Federation. However, with all due respect to the learned AGF, and who happens to be my mentor also, or somebody I look up to, but I don't think the statement made by the office was meant to say that that list will be withdrawn, because it can't be withdrawn.
How do you mean?
By the provision of the law, it's not a requirement that maybe an instrument of pardon must be given to someone before that pardon will be finalized. What the Constitution says is that the President should consult with the Council of State and grant pardon.
That is after the committee, that is the Presidential Advisory Committee on the Prerogative of Mercy, completed its work, right?
Yes.
Because they will compile, because when
the Constitution doesn't even require that. The Constitution only, by the provision of 175,
yes,
it talks about the Council of States. It's in the states issue, under 212,
yes,
who are not subject to, or are not privileged to be part of the Council of States. That's when they are required to form up a council or a committee that will advise them on prerogative of mercy. But for the president, what the Constitution just requires is that he should go to the Council of State today and say, I want to pardon Mr. A. Advise me. And he's not funny, he's not even bound by the advice. The Constitution doesn't say that the Council of State must agree with this before you go ahead to do it.
So whether they agree or not, it's just, he should just inform them.
Inform them. And if today he comes out to declare that he pardoned Mr. ABCD, it's automatic. The Constitution doesn't say that, okay, now issue, you must issue
proclamation
instrument of mercy, as they used to do. So, okay, you issue something that is signed by the president. That's just for evidence sake. But merely, it's just like going back by the power of the Attorney General himself. He can go to a court today and say, look, this case, I'm taking it over. Or this case, I'm discontinuing it.
And it stands.
And it stands.
No
He doesn't need to carry a paper and say it. However, but he can sign a paper and send a staff from his office and say, look, as far as this case is concerned, I want to discontinue it. And that is automatic. So with that paper or not, the Attorney General can walk into a court and discontinue it. Likewise, the President, with that paper or not, he will make a declaration and the declaration stands.
So what is the import of what happened yesterday? Why do you think the federal government said that, look, what happened wasn't final? What is the meaning of that?
Well, with all respect, the statement is said to be signed. I haven't seen the statement, but I read reports about it, a lot of reports. It's said to be signed by the Attorney General of the Federation. Maybe it's just a statement made politically to douse the tension. But ordinarily, even if it was to be withdrawn today, it will create one interesting legal struggle or legal battle in the country. So a big one.
How do you mean that, assuming they now review and said, okay, Mr. A, B, C, because of the public uproar, you should remain where you are. Status quo should be maintained. You will not be released.
And those ABC can go to court, and of course the court can, because there was an official statement that says this list of people have been pardoned. In fact, the statement was so robust that it keeps out or states out the exact offenses that those people were convicted of. And they were pardoned of those offenses. Unlike like in the case of Al-Ghali versus FRN versus Al-Ghali, whereby the former governor of Sokoto State, Aminu Tambuwal, pardoned some people. And then the federal government said, no, you can't pardon because at that time they are not even convicted. And another point they raised is that mainly there was no conviction at that time, so you cannot pardon, and you did not also state specific offenses they committed. You only said that all the offenses they committed under Sokoto law are being pardoned. The court said, look, we agree with that. He already said that he pardoned them. He doesn't need to even state the specific offense. However, there is a dissenting decision in that by Honorable Justice Emil Shuaib. He actually tried to dissent from that. And I think part of the reason is about that fact also. But the reality is the pardon that was, the pardon list and the reasons of the pardon, or the statement of the pardon that was released by the presidency was even specific to avoid any ambiguity. If it was to be, general, there would have been concern about whether that same case of Al-Ghali will come in, whereby somebody will go to challenge the court and say, no, you can't say they have been pardoned or no. But they were specific. Said, look, we know this person killed Mr. A, or we know this person actually was convicted of this drug offense, or we know this person was convicted of A, B, C, D. He has gone through this. He has changed. He has undergone some studies.
They have learned crafts. Some are undergoing studies at the university.
Yes, like
some have reformed.
Some have reformed. Some have infants or children to take care of. All those things were listed. They were categorical. They were straight about the list. So I don't think anything can come out to say that statement, which was official, will be withdrawn.
Are you saying that the federal government has boxed itself in a way, and it has given an instrument to those convicts to now, maybe in the event they are not released, they can now issue that to their lawyers to say, look, go and file a case against the federal government?
Yes, they can, because Section 36 sub 10 of the Constitution states that one cannot be tried an offense that has been pardoned.
Oh.
Which will mean ordinarily that by that provision and the provision of section 175 and 212 also, is simply saying that the consequence of that offense has also been pardoned. So if that person will go to court, ordinarily I expect, this is hard to say, but the court will definitely have to do it. I think the only way out for this in the situation is maybe for the presidency to maybe apologize to the public and ensure that if there is any exercise with similar qualities or similar thing that will be done in the future, it will be thoroughly reviewed. But this one has been done, and I don't think by that statement it will be withdrawn. It's sad. It's something that I think we were literally like as though fighting our lecturer when we were in the university when this issue came in for the first time.
While you were being taught.
Yeah, we were being taught that why would somebody kill someone and you say you pardon him? Can this be challenged? The lecturer said no. Can this person withdraw? It can't be done. It's something that
the teacher told you that the president has or the governor has that power.
The power is, yes.
But you as students were not comfortable. So
we're not comfortable.
How can someone kill someone and then suddenly because somebody has executive power to now say, okay, I have forgiven him?
Yes, of course, as young students we're not comfortable. And even as now, you won't feel good because you know how the country is. You know the challenges, you know the kind of, a lot of security challenges and a lot of concerns, around this. Nobody will be happy if this happens. But unfortunately, it happens, and I don't think, by any stretch, it can be undone.
Okay, where is the missing link? For instance, let's start with Herbert Macaulay, for instance. There was a press conference in Lagos by the family, even though they were led by Chief Olabode George. I don't know whether he's related to him, whatever. They were arguing that why should President Tinubu lump Herbert Macaulay, someone seen as father of nationalism, to be lumped in the same list with, serious criminals, drug barons, and all that. They said they saw what happened as a serious slap on the family. Is there any law or provision that, okay, when president or governors want to do something like this, they have to now take note of some of these sensibilities or sensitivities?
Well, I think I read the report about the family of late Herbert Macaulay. Of course, however, what is there is, let me cite Professor K. Ndemoy, who's in his book, on constitutional law, he's saying that if you actually, in the U.S., he cited a provision that if you pardon me or if you pardon a convict in the U.S., that pardon is in the form of offer and acceptance. By their law and practice, one can reject it and say, I don't want it.
The pardon?
Yes, but over here, there is no similar provision. Whereby if pardon is given, say, okay, we don't want the pardon, we throw it at you back. There's no similar provision. So it's quite hard to say, but I don't think by that to mean that they rejected the pardon, or if they rejected the pardon, it will be effective. Or assuming even today Herbert Macaulay is alive, whether assuming he's incarcerated, he can't say that maybe I have been pardoned, but I want to stay, I'm not accepting this pardon. So ordinarily, it's automatic by the position of Professor Kendemo.
Yes, another issue agitating the minds of many Nigerians is, okay, a family affected by the act of indiscretion of another person. Now, law has taken its course, someone convicted, but then suddenly, because we have a president and he has this power given to him by the Constitution, he now pardoned that person without recourse to the family of the person offended. And let me open it up. Look at the case of Mariam Sanda, for instance. When it happened, a section of the family of Bilyaminu, that is the deceased husband, they said they felt betrayed that this thing has happened just 6 years after conviction, and nobody contacted them. So what I'm saying is, and many of our viewers, asking is, the president, does he require to, refer to maybe the family of those offended to say, look, this is what I intend to do. I hope you are okay by that, or it's a state crime?
Well, you see, about crime and punishment, generally, except for like very minute sections, like in penal code, whereby a husband is given an opportunity to prosecute someone for maybe having an affair with his wife. Around this, due to sensitivity of northern Nigeria, is the law applicable to northern Nigeria? Other than that, like generally, crime is in the hands of the government. So when you come to enforcement or prosecution, it's totally a government affair. And also, unfortunately, I really sympathize with the family. I really wouldn't wish to see anybody in that kind of situation. It's quite disturbing to say. However, unfortunately, the Constitution does not require the president to consult with them. The Constitution only requires the president to consult with the Council of States. And in that Council of States, even previous or former presidents of this country are part of that council. That council is a very rich council, which was expected to guide the president. To say, look, this thing you are doing may not be right. These people just lost someone. Why would you agree to pardon this person? This list is not convenient. So ordinarily, the expectation of the Constitution or the makers of the Constitution is that those highly reputable people in that council will have counseled the president on what to do. But unfortunately, we don't know whether they counseled them, because I think at the last Council of State meeting, I read that 2 former head of states were there.
Yes, and others joined via Zoom.
Yes, and others joined via
like
Zoom.
IDB,
yes.
Via Zoom.
So if we have those people, they are in a position that I think no matter who the president will have been, will owe them certain respect. My expectation was they should have, come in this kind of position to take their time. But unfortunately, we don't know, because it's not public. It wasn't, broadcasted to us live.
Because people are saying,
we don't know whether they advised him.
A sensitive issue like this, they should be privy to the document ahead of the meeting. Maybe copies should be sent to them via maybe email or hard copies, so that they can take like 1 month to study and then maybe seek advice, because they also have their advisors, so that they can come with any objection, even though you said that whatever they tell the president, if he has made up his mind, nothing they can do about it.
Yes, that's another unfortunate part of it. The president cannot be forced to take their advice on any of they are made to advise him, I think, even for the appointments about 4 parastatals and their members, but he's not bound to go with their advice. But what I am saying is, you made a very wonderful point, Mr. Hamza, that if they were to be given a advanced copy of this document, they will have actually maybe have the opportunity to react to it, or have some kind of understanding and raise observations and objections. However, I don't know whether this was made to them. This is for the presidency to state. If indeed it was made to them, then they have actually, as members of the council, if they did not object, then they have actually failed in a way. And of course, the public should also hold them to account. But if actually it wasn't made, available to them, or if in the event that they have advised, but the president went against their advice, then of course the president will have to carry his cross.
Now, another thing, especially those that were, pardoned for political expediency, or putting it another way, people with political ambition. For instance, Farouk Lawal. So it looks like a poem, his, acknowledgement of the pardon, as well as thanking the president and all that. Can we say that anyone who received this presidential pardon is as clean as a newborn baby coming out from the bathtub, for instance?
Well, you see, even within judges, there are certain statements that were made, as an obiter. What we mean by obiter is that, while a judgment is made, a judge will make a statement, which we can hold it as like his own opinion, which we respect, but it's not something that probably may be used in previous, in subsequent cases. However, there are two school of thoughts. One, some of them saying that if you are pardoned, it's as though you have returned like a newborn baby. If that happens, it simply means two things. For a political convict, like say Farouk Lawan, Section 66, he was a former House of Reps member. So Section 66 ordinarily says, of the Constitution, says you cannot contest for a House of Reps House of Representatives if you are convicted for any offense that involves dishonesty, or for any offense that involves a breach of code of conduct. However, that section did not say that if you are pardoned, you can contest. That's number one. Neither Section 36 of the Constitution, no Section 175, no 212 states that once you are pardoned, simply means that it also gives you back your automatically, that privilege of contesting. Look, Section 66 is saying once you have been sentenced. So it didn't talk about saying that whether you serve the sentence or not. In the position of Mr. Farouk Lawan, he actually served the sentence.
Yes.
So the only reason why this pardon will have been useful to him is if we are to take the school of thought that says he's now, a newborn baby. But I don't believe Section 66 by its provision will allow him to contest.
You think that aspect is still vague, meaning that there is the need for maybe interpretation by our lawyers, or someone should go to court to clear that ambiguity? Because the way I saw him celebrating, it appears as if he's going to vie for maybe Senate or back to House of Reps by 2027. I was privileged to read about interviews he has given, discussing whether what political party he joins or not. But to be honest, I do not believe that Mr. Farouk Lawan can contest by the provision of Section 66, assuming he's contesting for House of Representatives. He can't. He's disqualified to contest political Until
office.
When?
Until that 10-year time that the Constitution says, within the period of 10 years, he was being convicted. So and sentenced. So assuming he has been sentenced, so until that period of 10 years prior to his sentence has expired, that is when he can be qualified. Because the general belief, and most especially, I would go with it, with the belief of Justice Emil Shuaib in the case of Al-Kali, FRN versus Al-Kali, whereby he commented and actually defined or elaborate the issue of pardon as to actually assuage the punishment. But it does not take away the fact that one has been sentenced. And some scholars, will go with even the case of King Okongo versus the state. So all this is talking about this person has been convicted. That conviction stands. It simply means that if I see someone today, I can call him, say a pardoned convict.
A pardoned convict.
Or a pardoned criminal. So I can't call him a criminal, for example, because I want to be careful not to say, because some people feel like if you call him a criminal in a derogatory way, he can go to court for libel. But the belief is that you can call him a pardoned convict. It doesn't simply mean that he is as though that doesn't happen. No, it remains in the record that he has been sentenced. And if that remains in the record, it simply means that a person who was sentenced, and the Constitution said that if that person is sentenced within a certain period, he cannot contest for election, since by the fact that it existed that he has been sentenced, he cannot contest. It's something that maybe some people may not like, but it's just a position. I'm sorry, I'm just stating the law.
Okay, now going to the moral aspect. Some people believe that even if the law gives governor or the president these powers, there is this moral burden for them to actually release some people so that not to offend the general public.
Okay, I don't know whether I get that question right, but my understanding is that you simply meant that, you know, the political class who have that privilege should consider the sensitivity of the populace, yes, before they exercise that.
Yeah, they exercise the powers given to them.
Well, you know, unfortunately, I'm a lawyer, not a politician. But, you know, politicians look at what will actually gives them the result they wanted. So as politicians, they are after what will, you know, make them get the support they wanted or make them hold certain grounds they wanted. So the law only gives them the power. So how they wield the power? Ordinarily, as a human, I feel like they should have that consideration. And of course, as an African, and maybe based on my religious belief, I will understand them to have that, because in a situation whereby people feel like they cannot be held to account for their offenses, then we're actually opening a door to anarchy. And that is why the law exists.
To avoid
things like that.
Okay, now putting it another way. Now, these 70 inmates that constitute 40% of those pardoned, they are drug offenders. And certainly you will see that maybe officials of national law, drug law enforcement agency, the police, and maybe civil defense and all that, they were involved in one way or the other in the arrest, prosecution, and all that. And we were told right from our childhood that drug barons don't forgive. And I scrutinize and I realize that the ages of some of these people that were arrested, they are still, I mean, very strong now. They are agile, you know, 60 and below, or 50, some even not up to 40. But now they said they are refined. Don't you think that maybe by the time they get out there, they will go for vengeance against drug law enforcement agents, the police, and all that?
And lawyers.
And lawyers, okay, fine. Okay,
you see, as a lawyer, there are certain things that happen around our practice. Sometimes people get scared that maybe what happened or where you're going through your work, you have to be careful around these kind of things. So most especially prosecutors will be concerned. Sometimes prosecutors, our colleagues in the public sector, suffer more than a lot of us that are in the private practice.
Because you have right of choice?
You have right of choice, and probably we get paid better. Because sometimes a prosecutor will tell you that he has to maybe, sponsor himself to court. Sometimes if there is appeal, he has to, sponsor the transmission of the record and other things. So what do you think one will feel if the person that he has actually done everything as a police officer or a prosecutor to ensure that he pays for his crime is released? The first, there is that disappointment. And second, there is what you raise, the concern of vengeance, the concern of, reprisals on those people. So ordinarily, if today I'm a prosecutor and I felt like I gave out my all to get these certain people, convicted, and today those people are out, then ordinarily, no matter what I will do, I will ensure that the next line of action I will take is to be careful and save my own life, because now my life is, in danger automatic. By the release of that. By the release, except maybe if the government will find out all the prosecutors of those people and attach to them, a 24/7 security cover.
Which is another big responsibility. All right, thank you very much, Barrister Hussaini Hussaini. Viewers, of course, discussing the pros and cons around the presidential pardon. And we have time for you now to call in using the telephone numbers that will be displayed on your screen. Go straight to the point. Maybe you make your observation or you ask the learned barrister here, in the studio. We are waiting your calls. Now, I want to go back to what I asked. Now, what are the options for the, Attorney General? Because Nigerians, if you look at the national dailies or you watch television stations or radio, it dominated it that, okay, maybe something new will come from that list. Maybe about 60% or 40% they will have their case reviewed, because they also use the word review in the statement by the Attorney General.
Well, as I said earlier, I stand by it, and I state again that I respect the Attorney General and, of course, his wonderful team, but I don't believe that this is something that can be undone.
All right, we have a caller, Barrister. Hello, welcome to Daily Politics on Trust TV. Hello? Okay. Yes, hello?
Hello, good evening. How
yes,
are you?
Good evening. You are welcome. What is the name? I'm calling from where?
My name is Musa Bala. I'm calling from Kaduna.
Okay, Mala Musa Bala. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
The unfortunate controversial order list by President Tinubu have come and gone, and it has left the dust, dusted everywhere in our country. The members, or rather the people that made up the list, is so unfortunate that according to many analyses, the first time we have such a list almost everywhere in the whole world, where we have about more than 50% of the people were drug-related carriers.
Yeah, of course.
Unfortunately,
40%, yes.
Yeah, yes, and unfortunately for the president, people that ought not have been included in the list, for example, Herbert Macaulay was joined in. There's what we call public moral judgment. You don't join this issue. I mean, Herbert Macaulay with people like all these drug barons, and maybe that lady that murdered her husband. It's so unfortunate. And we saw the president trying to review the list. I had wished those members of the presidential write-up maybe directed the president to do the writing from the beginning. Reviewing the list now shows that the president probably is either under pressure or he has not done his work properly. But the damage has been done. Majority of them are drug barons. And what actually is coming in the situation whereby there are a lot of allegations on the president's head with regard to drug issues.
Allegations, yes.
That's why I say allegations.
Yes.
That's why I say allegations. Subject to verification by our court of law. Well, it has dented his image already, or it has dented the image of the country, and we hope such will not be repeated in the next episode. My greeting to your guests and good evening. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Thank you, Musa Bala. Yes. He mentioned, Herbert Macaulay. I also mentioned him, but then this reminds me of an article someone sent to us, that under what premise should even the president forgive Herbert Macaulay? Because when he committed the alleged crime, Nigeria was not there. So why should even the president consider it's like foreign shopping that in the law parlance, or we say Afghanistanism in journalism? You go very far to report something that has no any direct bearing. And this is actually for the first time that I got to know that Herbert Macaulay actually committed a certain crime, that he was jailed and all that.
You see, maybe looking at it from the law angle, it's something that maybe is not may not be out of place, because the Constitution of Nigeria, and of course the subsequent constitutions from the 1963 up to the ones we have, the one we have now, is simply looking at existing laws, which would mean even existing conviction, existing punishments that come under those laws.
They were adopted.
They are adopted.
Refined.
And refined. So basically, some of the laws we are using up to today were actually colonial.
All right, we have another caller. Hello, welcome.
Good evening.
Good evening. Yes, welcome. What is the name?
Great your guest.
All right, Mr. Hussaini Hussaini.
This is Abubakar calling from Gwagwalada.
Okay, welcome, Abubakar. Let's have your take.
My take Since the inception for many years as a country, no time in our national history that this presidential pardon has been abused. We have seen in the past, even under the military rule, under the military president Babangida, it was widely applied, the presidential pardon. It was during his time that presidential pardon was given to General Gawan, the Zamani Law Court, and all this has towards forming a national healing. And even during Shagari time, it was granted to live Odumeku Ojuku. So there are prominent people who granting them presidential pardon is the tension, the national tension towards national healing. But in this case, there are a lot of given and public outcry. We hope it will be reviewed as the rightly said. That is my take.
Thank you very much, Abubakar. But the lawyer here said is probably political talks. Now, maybe this thing was meant to score political goal. Do you think there is remedy for that? Something the president or those around him can quickly do to now reverse the terrible perception surrounding this misstep?
Well, as I said earlier, Madam, I strongly believe that no matter what, if it is reviewed, it's something that can be challenged, from my understanding of the law. I'm not saying the president should not go ahead and review it, but if it is reviewed, to my knowledge or to the best of my understanding, definitely it will be quashed. The review will be quashed by the courts.
And then in school, let's go academic now. Because I saw that, okay, how it works. This, messy and all that. There must be application, then the process, the petition with the family or the lawyer and all that, they will write. And then that committee will review, maybe at the state level, since you said at the national level, the president can act straightforward. What lesson should that committee headed by the Attorney General should learn from what happened now?
Okay, sorry to try to clarify something. It's actually a committee. The president has a wide power to appoint a committee. What I'm saying is that the Constitution only requires him to consult the National Council of States. So, however, the application that is made, what I expect from that committee is to take a lesson from this, and then also for other people. You mentioned something that is very important. I failed to mention this. There are certain people that have lack of awareness that even deserve this pardon more, but they did not follow the process to get
apply.
It. Yes, there are people that you may think that they should be considered for this pardon, but unfortunately, they are not listed simply because apparently the people their own maybe relatives. They're not aware, or they're not even financially buoyant. Or of course, there are certain organizations that go to the prison to see these people that are deserving of pardon or are deserving of pro bono legal assistance. Those organizations can assist these kind of people, maybe to take them to the presidency or to take them to the relevant authority that has that power to consider them for pardon. And so I advise the committee will take this as a lesson, maybe, and look at it in a broader way.
All right, I wish we have more time, Barrister Hussaini Hussaini, but we want to thank you specifically for taking your time to come and talk about the legal technicalities around this, and then the opportunities for millions of Nigerians who have their loved ones incarcerated, that they still have a room to actually also apply.
Yes.
And most likely they would be considered.
Yes.
We have to have you some other time.
Thank you so much.
And viewers, that's a wrap on today's package. Thank you for being with us. Join us next week for another interesting edition of Daily Politics. From here, I am Hamza Idris. Good night.